Over the last century, women have had to fight for their place in the world of sport. Many women have blazed a trail for others to follow. Suzanne Lenglen was the first superstar of tennis. Sonja Henie brought some Hollywood glamour to the ice rink. And Babe Didrikson-Saharius was a champion hurdler, javelin thrower and golfer. At the 1948 London Olympics, Fanny Blankers-Koen was the breakout star of the Games, claiming 4 gold medals on the track for the Netherlands. Nicknamed the Flying Housewife, Fanny became a global star.
I was lucky that I could win 4 gold medals. But they asked me for Greece, they asked me for Australia, they asked me for the United States. Just to show that a mother from 30 and have 2 children that you could do your sport. Then I went to Australia and to New York and Los Angeles. Because there was the track and field for women not popular in the States. It's only for men.
Fanny's performances in London made a mockery of the notion that age and motherhood were a barrier to success in the sports world.
There were not so many girls who liked to do the track and field. It was always the men who they were looking after, not for the girls. But I think when I was better and better, I think that I had a deal for the ladies to show that we could do track and field.
Another inspirational sportswoman was denied the chance to compete at those 1948 Games due to injury. Agnes Keleti is the oldest living Olympic champion. Aged 101, the Hungarian is a 5-time gold medalist in gymnastics and is more than happy to showcase her skills.
And should I do something? Louder!
Agnes was expected to become Olympic champion in 1940 and 1944, but instead the young Jewish woman had to fake her identity to avoid the concentration camps during the Holocaust. Having won 1 gold in 1952, she returned to claim 4 more in 1956, aged 35, becoming the oldest female Olympic champion in gymnastics, a title she still holds to this day.
The sport gave me the opportunity to see the world without money.
At those Melbourne Olympic Games in 1956, Agnes had many battles with Larisa Latinina of the Soviet Union, sharing the title on the floor exercise and winning 4 gold medals each. However, Larisa went on to become the most decorated female Olympian of all time, with an astonishing 18 medals, including 9 gold.
But not every sportswoman had the opportunity to win an Olympic medal. Cyclist Beryl Burton dominated her sport during the 1960s, 2 decades before the sport was introduced for women at the Games. A multiple world champion, the gritty Yorkshire woman also defeated a few men in her time. In 1967, she set the 12-hour cycling record for women and in the process broke the men's record too, as her daughter Denise explains.
The men were put off first and the ladies were put off after the men, thinking that that would be a safe bet to do. And she got so far through the event and she realised that Mike McNamara was up the road, she could see him. And she didn't know what to do. She panicked a bit. And anyway, she decided that as she passed him, the least she could do is offer him one of her sweeties what were in her pocket, which were licorice all sorts. And he just said, "Ta, love," and she passed him and left him, you know.
From one tough Yorkshire woman to another, Barbara Buttrick is considered a pioneer of women's boxing. Standing at only 4'11", she was nicknamed the mighty atom of the ring and went unbeaten at both flyweight and bantamweight from 1950 to 1960. But it wasn't always easy being one of the first female boxers.
Back in the 40s, it was all women don't do this, women don't do that. And I used to get tired of listening to that, and I used to think, well, you know, why shouldn't we do the same things? Anything we feel like doing. after I was 18, of course, then I was able to do as I liked, but they weren't very happy. They weren't impressed with it at all. In the newspapers, of course, I got canned. I mean, they were, this is no good, you know, this is a terrible thing, women fighting and things like that.
Much like boxing, motorsport has always been perceived as a boys-only club. Step forward, the First Lady of drag racing, Shirley Muldowney. The American won 3 championship titles, defeating both her rivals and critics in the process.
The 60s, I think, were some of the worst years because I was pretty much starting out and I was winning races, and there was a lot of resentment because I won races and the fact that I was a woman and the only woman. So they had to have someone to pick on, and if I had let them in the early days walk on me, they would have done it like an old shoe. I fought the fight, I won the war, and the ladies today have taken advantage of that, and I don't have any problem with that at all. If I made it easier for them, good.
Elsewhere in motorsport, Michele Mouton broke new ground for women in rally driving. With 4 rally wins to her name and 9 podiums, Michele narrowly missed out on claiming the World Rally Championship Drivers' title in 1982. The fast French woman earned the respect from her peers and many others in the world of motorsport.
When I was an amateur, there were always rumours that went, yeah, she's quick, but she's got an engine which doesn't comply with the rules. Things like that. But when you reach a higher level, the drivers are smarter. They know you've got the same equipment as them. So they knew that I could do the same times as them.
In 2010, Michele became the first president of the FIA's Women and Motorsport Commission and has likely had an impact on the current generation of female drivers. 2-time champion of the female-only single-seater W Series is Jamie Chadwick. The 23-year-old Briton is close to securing enough super licence points to race in Formula 1 and currently acts as a development driver for the Williams F1 team.
I think for me, the ultimate goal is to be a world champion. If I can keep winning and getting the results I need to in the junior levels, then hopefully I can sort of warrant my place at the top level of motorsport and maybe one day become a world champion.
In 1924, ski jumping was one of the 5 Olympic sports at the inaugural Winter Games. However, women had to wait 90 years to be allowed to compete for Olympic glory in the sport. Spearheaded by the first ever female world champion Lindsey 15 of the world's top female ski jumpers filed a lawsuit against the 2010 Vancouver Games for not hosting a women's event.
I think people just need to, come and see it for themselves, and I mean, the exposure we're getting now is great. People just need to come see the women and see that we are ready to be in the Olympics and have these events, and that we need to show them that we're ready, and they can't just listen to what IOC is saying anymore.
Despite losing that battle, the women won the war. Ski jumping for women became an Olympic event in 2014.
In the world of team sports, you'd struggle to find a coach who enjoyed the level of success that Pat Summitt achieved. During her 38 years as head coach, Summitt coached a staggering 1,098 NCAA victories for the Tennessee Lady Vols basketball team.
I love what I do, so that's my motivation. My motivation is working with young people and going back to trying to help them be successful. I mean, I don't have to coach another day of my life. I don't have to win another game. I don't have anything that I feel like, hey, I've got to prove this. I've got to stay in the game and prove this. I love working with these young women and helping them strive to be the best they can be.
One of sport's true motivators, Summitt also coached Team USA to Olympic basketball gold in 1984.
History was made elsewhere at those Los Angeles Games. In winning the women's 400-metre hurdles, Nawal El Mutawakil became the first Muslim female athlete to claim Olympic gold.
The gold medal I won in 1984 was extremely significant. I'm very proud to say that I have opened doors to thousands of women who for a long time did not have access to sport or any physical activity, or who had access but could simply not imagine that they could reach that level of achievement.
It was a groundbreaking victory for the Moroccan, where women were actively discouraged from participating in sport. She blazed a trail for the likes of Hasiba Boulmerka, Olympic 1500-metre champion and our Sportswoman of the Year for 1992. Even though she won Algeria's first Olympic gold, she received death threats for showing too much of her body during competition and had to flee to Europe.
Finally, to the world of horse racing. In 1993, American jockey Julie Krone became the first and only woman to win a Triple Crown race. Riding Belmont Stakes, Krone achieved a lifelong dream after overcoming many metaphorical barriers.
It wasn't so much of like, oh, I don't believe in you. It was just, there was no way on earth that a girl jockey could come along and be capable of, riding a racehorse properly. There was just no way. So not only did you, not get a chance and then mess up, but you just got no chance at all.
And now time to get to know another jockey of sorts, Musher Susan Butcher.